Have you ever felt so superior, so exceptional, that you believed the normal rules of society just didn't apply to you? What if that belief pushed you to commit a terrible act? Welcome to the dark, psychological labyrinth of Fyodor Dostoyevsky's masterpiece, Crime and Punishment. Today, we're venturing into the tortured mind of one of literature's most iconic characters. Imagine the gloomy, oppressive streets of 19th century St. Petersburg. The air is thick with poverty and desperation. Here, we meet Rodion Raskolnikov, a brilliant but impoverished He lives in a tiny, coffin-like room, barely surviving. But it's not just hunger that gnaws at him. It's an idea, a dangerous theory that's taken root in his mind. He believes humanity is divided into two groups: the ordinary, who must obey the law, and the extraordinary people like Napoleon who have the right to transgress, to step over blood if their grand ambitions demand it. Raskolnikov, convinced of his own exceptional nature, sees himself in this latter group. His target is an old, miserly pawnbroker named Alyona Ivanovna. He sees her as a parasite, a louse feeding on the misery of others. He reasons that her death would be a net positive for the world. Her money could fund 1,000 good deeds, lift him from poverty, and allow him to fulfill his great potential. He convinces himself that this isn't murder. It's a philosophical experiment, a test of his own theory. Is he a trembling louse like everyone else? Or is he a Superman destined for greatness? The tension builds as Raskolnikov meticulously plans. He rehearses every step, every detail. He even creates a fake pledge to distract the pawnbroker. The day of the crime arrives, a suffocatingly hot afternoon. He feels a strange detachment, as if watching himself from a distance. He sneaks into Alyona's apartment, armed with an axe he stole from the caretaker's lodge. The act itself is brutal, clumsy, and horrifying. He strikes her down, but just as he's frantically grabbing her valuables, her gentle, timid half-sister, Lizaveta, walks in. In a blind panic, Raskolnikov kills her too. The theoretical, clean crime he had envisioned has spiraled into a bloody, chaotic nightmare. An innocent has died. He barely escapes, leaving the door unlocked in his haste, a detail that will haunt him. The immediate aftermath isn't a sense of triumph or liberation. It's a complete physical and mental collapse. Raskolnikov falls into a feverish delirium, tormented by paranoia. Every knock on the door, every whispered conversation on the street feels like a direct accusation. He hides the stolen goods under a rock, not even bothering to count them. The grand theory that fueled him now seems like a sick joke. He didn't feel like Napoleon. He felt like a common criminal, terrified of being caught. His intellect, his greatest pride, has become his personal torture chamber, constantly replaying the gruesome events and analyzing every possible way he could be exposed. The punishment hasn't come from the law, but from within. As Raskolnikov navigates this self-inflicted hell, he is drawn to another soul, living on the fringes of society. Sonia Marmeladov. Sonia is a young woman forced into prostitution to support her destitute family, where Raskolnikov is defined by pride and intellectual arrogance. Sonia is the embodiment of humility, faith, and unconditional love. She has also transgressed societal norms, but for entirely different reasons. Not for a theory, but out of selfless sacrifice. Raskolnikov sees a fellow sinner in her, someone who might understand his burden. He finds a strange comfort in her presence, a sliver of light in his suffocating darkness. It is to her that he will first confess his unspeakable crime. Meanwhile, the official investigation is underway, led by the shrewd and perceptive detective Porfiry. Porfiry is a master of psychology. He doesn't rely on hard evidence. He plays a cat-and-mouse game with Raskolnikov. Their conversations are intellectual duels. Porfiry intuits Raskolnikov's guilt and uses his own article on the extraordinary man against him, circling closer and closer to the truth with each question, each casual remark. He lays psychological traps, pushing Raskolnikov to the brink, convinced that a man like him will eventually betray himself. Porfiry understands that, for Raskolnikov, the true punishment is the mental agony, and that a formal confession is the only path to release. The pressure from Porphyry, combined with the crushing weight of his own conscience, becomes unbearable. The breaking point comes in a raw, powerful scene where Raskolnikov finally confesses everything to Sonia. He expects her judgment, her revulsion. Instead, she weeps for him, kisses his feet, and embraces him. She doesn't see a monster. She sees a suffering soul. She tells him he must accept his punishment, go to the crossroads, bow down, and confess his sin to the world to begin his atonement. Her compassion shatters his intellectual pride. It's a pivotal moment where love and faith directly challenge his cold, rational philosophy. Guided by Sonia's unwavering support, Raskolnikov walks into the police station. After a moment of hesitation, he confesses. The Superman theory has crumbled completely, leaving only a broken, guilty man. The verdict is not death, but exile. 8 years of hard labor in Siberia. This isn't the end of his story, but the beginning of a new one. Sonia, true to her promise, follows him into exile. In the harsh, desolate landscape of Siberia, surrounded by other convicts, Raskolnikov begins a slow, arduous journey towards spiritual rebirth. He slowly sheds his pride and isolation. The novel ends not with a full resolution, but with a glimmer of hope. Holding the Gospels that Sonia gave him, he looks at her and realizes that his redemption is possible through suffering and love. Crime and Punishment is more than just a detective story. It's a profound exploration of morality, free will, guilt, and the possibility of redemption. Dostoyevsky asks us, what are the true consequences of our actions? Is any person above the law, and can love truly save a lost soul? It's a story that stays with you long after you've finished it, forcing you to look into the darkest corners of the human heart and find the light that waits there. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into a literary classic. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more explorations of the greatest stories ever told. Let me know in the comments what you think of Raskolnikov's journey. See you next time.